This is the duck doorstop project, and this one's a lot of fun. Now when you get the bits, yeah, it initially looks a little odd and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what is this going to create? But it's actually fairly straightforward to put together. So we're going to, you've got two sides, which are the pieces that kind of curl round, and then you've got one big long straight bit that looks a little bit like a skittle. So where we're going to start is we're going to get rid of one of these and start with these two. So we're going to put them face to face. Now this kind of, I'm going to use the loose term of corner. I'm going to put those two corners together and line them up. Now that's our starting point. And plenty of pins is what I'd recommend for this. This can be hand sewn or machine sewn, the choice is yours. And what you're going to then do is line up the two edges of the fabrics, because the 1/4 inch seam allowance is already added for you. So you're going to just continue to line up the two edges. Now on the white bits you've got a little bit of a check, because you can probably just see there, you can just see through the printed line, and that's going to give you a little bit of a guidance and a little bit of a check as to where you are. And you just want to keep working your way around, lining those seam allowances up till you get all the way down to the bottom. Once you get there, then you need to stitch this first side. After you've done that, you are going to repeat the process for the other side. So onto this side, you are going to place the other side piece and go all the way down to the bottom. Now I wouldn't pin everything in one go and then stitch it all in one go. I would do one side at a time, because obviously you are having to manipulate and twist and turn the fabric quite a lot to get it in there. And what I need to show you as well is the side that I'm pinning on is the curvy side. So the one that's like a big S shape, that's the side that attaches onto the one that is almost skittle shaped. So I'm going to go ahead, finish pinning this on and get these two sides sewn, and then show you the next step. As I said earlier, this can either be hand sewn or machine sewn. I've machine sewn this because we've given you a nice large project for the doorstop, so you have the option to hand or machine sew. So see, that's my first edge that you saw me pinning, and then I've repeated the process for the other side. Once they're both done, I've kind of folded it all in half, and then this is a lot easier because this side will match up exactly like a regular seam. And I've gone again from that kind of tip, you can see where it kind of starts to curve. I've gone from there all the way around and then stopped on the back and left myself 2 to 3 inches where I can sew it up later on, because this is going to be my point where I can turn it right side out, and then continued to the tail to match up with those other two pieces. So we've got a nice little pointy tail on the end there. So that's my body complete. Next step is to do the beak, and I've jumped ahead just a tiny bit on this. And what I've done is I have sewn a little line in there, just joining those first two pieces together. So let me just get some, I've got some bits here that are notched together. So the beak will be in 3 pieces. You will get these two, and then you'll get that rounded piece that goes on the bottom. So the two that look a bit like slippers, see, there's where your toes go, there's where your heel goes. The two that look a bit like slippers, you're just going to put face to face and then sew all the way along the top and stop about halfway. So I would pop a little fold in there and stop about halfway. So at that point there, that's where you're going to stop. So just that top section. Once you've done the top section, then you're going to go ahead and pin the flat section into place. So you can see that's the beak forming there. Next step is to stitch all the way around that edge, and again this can be hand or machine sewn, it's up to you. Stitch all the way around and that will complete the beak part. So next we'll have a look at the feet, and then we'll look at assembly. So the feet are all the same. They come in pairs though. You can see they're slightly different. There's a bit of a bigger gap between these toes than there are between these toes, but you'll get 2 of each, 2 like this, so you can sandwich them together. So, and you're going to sew all the way around and back to here. You're going to leave a decent gap at the heel here, because that's where you are going to need to stuff the feet. So from there, you're going to turn it right side out. Let me get the one that I did earlier. You're going to turn them right side out, and you're going to add extra rows of stitching, so just a V shape, to create these little kind of toes, if you will. And because you've left that back bit open, you can use little bits of stuffing and just add the little bits of stuffing to the toes to create those feet. And I've got a finished one here where all I've done is turn those bits in and then stitch them round the bottom. So they are my 2 feet. Let's put them that way around, so I've got a left and a right. There we go. So we've got the feet, we've got the beak sewn, we've got the body sewn. It's now just assembly. To assemble our duck, the next step is to put the beak on. So you're going to line up. You need to make sure you get this the right way around, because I have done this and put this on the wrong way around. When you've got it in its kind of slipper formation, that seam at the top there needs to match up with this seam up here. So you're just going to splay those seams out and pin that in position, and then you're going to work all your way around. The seam where it attaches to the base should attach to the seam here where it attaches to that big skittle shaped piece, and vice versa for the other side. So you want to pin all that in position and then sew it on. Okay, as you can see, the beak is stitched in. I've actually hand stitched the beak in, just because it's a little bit fiddly, I think, to do on the machine. By all means, you can do it if you wish, but I've just gone ahead and hand stitched that in, so you can kind of see it starting to take shape now. And the duck doorstop is designed to be this piece at the bottom, and kind of pecking at the ground like that. So that's why we've given you a nice big area here to fill with beans, so it's nice and stable. So the next step is to turn it right side out and then begin stuffing it. So that is what we're going to do now, and then we can attach the feet is the last job. So I'm just going to push that through from this side, and then as soon as you get the head through, the rest kind of follows quite easily. I've skipped ahead a little bit, and I've just added all that stuffing in because it's not that interesting to watch. So what I would recommend is this neck part here. I would make that quite stiff because you want it to hold a nice firm shape. And if you're going to put beans in these, I put a few in the tip of the beak, because when it is finished, it's designed to kind of stand up on the floor like that, with the beak touching the floor. So I'd put a few in there, and then I'd put the majority of them in this portion here. So what I would do is put a little bit of stuffing in, add your beans, and then add a little bit more stuffing just to kind of secure them in. We've got 2 last jobs. The final job we're going to do is to ladder stitch this piece here. I've just got a little pin in it holding it for the minute. And then before we do that though, we want to add on our feet. So if I turn it upside down, you're just going to position them where you want them, and I would add a few good stitches just in the point where it comes between the toes there. So this one here, and then this one here. I'll just add a couple of good stitches in there. Obviously, if you're going to give it to a child, I'd add a few more, make it nice and secure. And you just want to have those positioned on the bottom. I haven't sewn the bottom of this one up yet, but you can get the idea. Get those positioned just there, and then your little duck is done. I just wanted to show you this way around, because sometimes from the overhead position it's not that clear, because when your duck is finished, it's designed to have feet on the floor there, and the neck kind of moving over, and the beak just touching the floor as well. What it's worth doing, as I mentioned in the previous one, is just putting a couple of beans or something heavy in this one, because if you leave it with just normal stuffing in, what can happen is the beak can bend like that with the weight of the rest of it pushing over. So I'll definitely put a couple of beans in there and some beans in the bottom to make a lovely solid doorstop.